Hi everyone, my name's Jason Barr and I'll be the coordinator for the first week of this course. First, I'd like to welcome you all to this unit. It is a unique opportunity for all of you to learn something new, something exciting, and of course something fun. The unit is of course Gangsters, but the first week is going to be something we're going to learn about more is probably the most famous gangster of all, Al Capone. This lesson is the first of a series of 4 lessons and will cover some of the major times and events in Al Capone's life. As you might have guessed already, today's lesson is titled Family and Small-Time Gangsters. At the end of this lesson, you'll come away with a better understanding of Al Capone's early years and the years leading up to Al Capone's life of crime. Alphonse Gabriel Capone, who was born 1917, 1899. Baptised Alphonse Capone. Doesn't look like a man you'd really want to meet in the street. Al was born in Brooklyn in New York, and his parents were Italian immigrants and came to America in 1893. They had 8 children and Al Capone was the 4th. Their life in Brooklyn was difficult. Living near a navy yard, the Capones wanted to move away from that waterfront. When Al was 10 years old, both parents, who were both respected religious people, moved to a different area of the city. Al, he then grew up in a rough neighbourhood and was a member of 2 kid gangs. The Brooklyn Rippers and the second being the 40 Thieves Juniors. Al Capone's life of crime started young. Although very bright, Al Capone dropped out of school in the 6th grade. Prior to this, he had beaten up a teacher. He was always a violent person. Al believed that he would learn more on the streets of New York than he ever would in a school. Despite Al's parents' best efforts, 4 of their children became criminals, and the youngest became known as a kind of Robin Hood, who helped people who were intimidated by ruffians or bad people. Interestingly, Al's eldest brother was a role model Italian American. He fought in World War I as a soldier and eventually became a lieutenant. He even won an award for his efforts in World War I, and later, coming back to America, he became a policeman, which is a vast contrast to obviously where Al Capone's life led him. His other brothers all followed in Al Capone's lifestyle and followed in his footsteps, and for some parts of their life all worked for him. Between scams, Al Capone worked various jobs. He was a clerk in a candy store. He was a pin boy at a bowling alley. Even a cutter in a book bindery. He even worked in a munitions factory at some stage. He was never afraid of hard work or getting his hands dirty. But one of the most important things of all, Al Capone worked to support his family. His family were always a big part of his life. Then, in a life-changing move, he became part of the notorious 5 Points Gang in Manhattan, New York, where he worked as a bouncer at the Coney Island bar at the Harvard Inn. This bar was owned by a gangster, Frankie Yao, this fella right here. While working at the inn, Capone received his infamous facial scars, which then resulted in the nickname Scarface. This happened when Al Capone insulted a female patron. Al was then attacked by that female patron's brother by a razor, where the brother slashed Al Capone's face 3 times. In 1918, Capone met an Irish girl named Mary May Coughlin at a dance, funny enough. She was a very pretty Irish girl who was 2 years Al's senior. Out of wedlock, on December 4th, 1918, May gave birth to their son. There's a photo of May and their son, Albert Capone, who everybody called Sonny. Unbeknownst to Al, he'd passed on to his child syphilis. He admitted later on to contracting syphilis from a prostitute before his son was born. But Al thought he had been cured. But obviously not. Sonny had ill health for most of his life. Al and May did not have any other children after that, and Capone and May married later that year in December 30th. Al was only 19. At about that time, Al became friends with a man who was Yale's old mentor, John Torrio. This fella here. John Torrio was 18 years older than Al Capone. Capone went to work for John. John Torrio saw Capone's potential. His potential in his combination of strength and intelligence. And these were traits that John Torrio would encourage. When John Torrio moved to Chicago, so did Al Capone. Al followed Torrio. As Prohibition neared, Torrio and Capone became excited about all the money they could make in the illegal alcohol business. Bootlegging for them and many others seemed like a sure ticket to tax-free wealth. Capone was helping Torrio manage his bootlegging business. And by the mid-1922, Capone was ranked Torrio's second man in charge, and eventually became a full partner in the saloons, gambling houses and brothels. Now that's the end of this first session. Over the next few sessions you're going to learn more in depth about the life, the rise and fall of the man an American government at the time called Public Enemy Number 1. Now I hope you enjoyed that. Please follow on with the next lessons and we'll see you soon. Thank you.